What's up, guys? Welcome back to Live Travel Asia, where we show you what it's like living and traveling in Asia. Today, we're going to have another in-depth discussion series, and it's going to be a format that I've never used before because the person I'm going to be interviewing and having a discussion with is back in America after having traveled out here. But basically, the topic of today is going to be his process of moving out here and the reaction he's gotten from his close friends back home when he told them that he's planning to move out here. Geoffrey.
Hey.
Hello.
How's it going?
What's up, man? Do you have your camera set up and everything?
The software is glitching up right now. Of course, right when we want to start.
Oh, no.
Okay, we should be good.
Are we good?
I think we'll be all right.
Yeah. We're both really busy, actually, so we haven't really talked much before this. Had a brief conversation for our Patreon stream when he called in for about 30 minutes, I think. Mm-hmm. But just could you briefly introduce to me? I don't even know how old you are.
I'm 37.
Oh, okay. So you're actually my age. Am I 37? I keep forgetting. I don't want to think about my age because we're getting old now. So yeah.
My name is Geoffrey Peterson. Geoffrey spelled with a G.
It's all cool. I mean, do you go by Jeff?
Yeah.
Okay, Jeff. And where are you from? I know you're from the States. So where exactly from the States?
Jeff or GP.
Jeff
I'm from California.
From California. Okay,
yes,
cool. SoCal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. All right. You know what? I actually just remembered from our previous conversation.
Originally from the Bay Area. Originally from San Francisco.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're both California guys, so we can relate. And what was your major and what kind of work do you do right now?
My major was international business.
Uh-huh.
I went to LACC, City College.
Uh-huh.
Went to film school there.
Wow.
And studied Chinese language there.
Oh, okay. Well, you actually have like a major that's related to actually living out here. That's quite impressive.
A little bit.
That's all good.
Moved to LA for entertainment.
And
there's definitely entertainment opportunities in Asia as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
When I was living in Taiwan, I did a hip hop video.
Oh really?
About the city of Taipei that made national news. That was pretty awesome.
That does sound really awesome. So anyways, what made you to come out to Thailand then in the first place?
I had never been and just had heard great things about Thailand. Mm-hmm. I didn't really know what to expect getting into it or coming out there.
Uh-huh.
I was originally going to go to Taiwan
mm-hmm.
and just stop off in Thailand and kind of check it out and see what it's all about. I'd seen other people's YouTube channels and
mm-hmm.
everybody was really stoked about it and people were like hard selling it and they're like, look, when you get over here, people buy one-way tickets. When they get here, they don't want to leave.
Uh-huh.
People buy round-trip tickets and they miss their return flight. Like, what is this all about? Like, I got to see what this is all about, for real.
Okay. So basically you're just curious. So you came out here. That's probably more research than I did, actually. I just ended up here by chance. Well, how many times have you been out here before you actually decided that you want to move out here?
So this past trip was my first time there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I was in Bangkok for about a month, Chiang Mai for about 2 weeks, and Phuket, Kamala Beach area for about 2 weeks.
Oh, okay. So it
was...
was
traveling all around Asia, Philippines, Vietnam, Taiwan, all mixed in there.
Oh, wow. So, okay, you're out here for quite a bit.
So you didn't do any research when you went out there?
Not to
what
Thailand.
Did you do?
Well,
what did you do?
I'm Korean, so I actually had some relatives living in Korea. So my initial plan was I was gonna go to Korea, and I mean I knew worst case scenario I could teach English there.
Okay.
You know, actually my sister said you could make six figures teaching English.
Wow.
So I knew like worst case scenario I could do that, but being that
I
I'm
just
Korean
saw a
American.
documentary. There's Chinese teachers in Hong Kong that are prepping the kids for the university exam, and they're driving like Lambos and shit.
Oh yeah,
They're making millions of dollars or something.
When it comes to
Something crazy.
children, like these tiger moms, a budget isn't an issue. So if you establish yourself and make a name for yourself, you're gonna be quite rich, and then you could even start your own business. Actually, in many ways, it would have been very convenient for me to be in Korea because even though I'm American, I don't have like, you know, dual citizenship or anything because, you know, my family is like my grandparents. Their family tree or something over there, the registry is based in Korea. I could still get like what they call an F4 visa, which is like pretty much a permanent residency, and I can get all the benefits.
So why didn't you go there?
I mean, I did. I was there.
Oh, you did go there
yeah,
first.
Originally, I went there, and you know, this is what's different about me. For me, going to Korea is gonna allow me to be with more family than if I was in the States. So, a lot of people, I totally understand why they might not be able to leave because they have parents they need to take care of, etc., or grandparents. But for me, that was a non-issue. If anything, moving to Korea, even though I was uncomfortable or unfamiliar with that place, that would have allowed me to be closer to family. But I don't know. I already had this. I had this feeling that I may not like it because even though I'm like ethnically Korean, I grew up with just your Bible Belt type of people. I'm serious, like because I used to go to like a Christian boarding school, so I'm probably more whitewashed than your average Californian. You know what I'm saying? Like, like even if you're Caucasian and you grew up in California, I'm probably more like conservative white.
Okay, I get it.
You know, because I grew up with a bunch of conservative like Bible Belt Christians. So yeah, and like culturally, I know I'm not really compatible with Koreans. I'm always getting into arguments with my father. It's just, I know the culture is just not compatible with me. But
Koreans are big time Christians, right?
Well, in California. Yeah. But I think statistically now in Korea, it's like, it's still majority, I believe, is Christian, but like, it's like 40% and then 30% is Buddhist.
There is a million Christian Korean churches out here.
There's statistics.
And every time you go out, there's a Korean person trying to hand you a Jesus flyer.
Dude, there's statistics that show that there's like something like 1,000 churches just in LA, Korean ones, but then there's like 3,000 Korean pastors. It's just like, it's crazy. Wow. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's cutthroat.
Hey, you could fall back on that. You could fall back on that. There you go.
No.
So let me ask you this: you started off in Korea. What was the appeal of Thailand over Korea?
Well, before we get into that, because the topic is about the resistance you got, the initial reaction of people. Let's just go ahead and first introduce this and then go more in depth into it.
Okay.
So
the resistance that I got was I told my friends how excited I was about Thailand and that I was considering moving out there, and their reaction was Thailand, or they kind of said Asia in general, but since we're talking about Thailand, they said it was for people who couldn't make it in America. And I don't agree with that, but I thought that it would be something that we could talk about with you being there and you being from America and me considering going there and how we can kind of, you know, weigh it out, do a pros and cons list, so to speak.
Yeah. Now, before we talk about this, I mean, maybe you've seen my really long discussions, but the way I answer questions is I don't really give you a sure yes or no. So expect that. Basically, the way I think, every opinion I think has a slight bit of truth to it. But sometimes it's insignificant because I think it all matters, the balance that's right for you. And that's why we have to have a longer discussion and like talk about what your expectations are and what you think you'll accomplish out here, because there's definitely pros and cons. Now, yeah, and you know, I don't like the tone of the voice that your friends used on that. It's just basically people who can't succeed out here, then they'll go out there, you know?
Me either.
So
I don't agree with that.
Are they saying that, do they think that it's just easy to make it out here? So I don't know.
That was kind of the vibe. And even with that being said, I don't understand why that's a problem.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking. I'm like, they're bullying you because you're going the path of least resistance. This makes no sense. I mean, if that's the truth, then they're idiots for like just, you know, working hard. I mean, if you could be far more successful out here. But actually, I think the argument is it's harder to make it out here sometimes, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's what I was just going to say. One thing in reflecting on the trip, I realized, like, to really kill it out there, you do have to be on top of your game. You know, it's not like everything's just going to come easily, or, you know, you're not going to land a good job if you don't hustle. You're not going to meet somebody to date if you're not looking good and in shape and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same rules as here. Just, I think your value is recognized a little bit more over there. I would say that. That's definitely a takeaway.
I'm also curious. I mean, is it just like one friend you talk to, or all your friends sort of have this kind of idea that it's really easy to make it out there, and only people who can't make it out here in this cool, tough and rough world of America go there? I mean,
it was a conversation with a couple of buddies that we were just hanging out one night, and I just thought that it would be a cool topic of discussion.
I see.
Because I've heard even when I was in Taiwan, I heard that that term LBH, loser back home. And they used to say that about all the expats there.
Oh, really?
And I was like,
I didn't know
wow.
that one. Okay.
Yeah.
LBH.
I was like, wow. Well, all the guys I see doing good here, they're on top of their game. And if they're not, they're just kind of there as a tourist, you know, sightseeing and stuff like that. But they don't really have a life there. You know.
So, wait, you only call people who aren't successful LBH because... Well, it sounds like they're losers everywhere then. I mean, they would be losers there because they're not successful, and they're losers back home.
Right.
Because, so, I don't know. It just, to me, the tone that they're using just makes me completely discount what they're saying, because I do believe that some of the people who truly care about you do say things that you don't want to hear. But I mean, just generally based on that tone, it tells me that it doesn't make sense. It logically doesn't make sense. If they do care about you, then they would want you to, you know, have an easier life and be far more successful, you know? So if their premise is that you're only going there because it's gonna be easy, then it makes no sense. Now, maybe they're saying the risk reward is better in America, like it's harder back in America, but the reward is better. Is that what they're inferring?
I think that's what they were inferring. But I don't know if I necessarily agree with that either.
I see.
Because to me, the reward in Thailand is just an adventure and something new.
Oh, okay. So these friends, can I ask, like, I guess they then see themselves as not losers and quite successful back in the States. I mean, what do they define as success? Like, what do you think? Maybe, I don't know if you've asked them that, or just based on how they act and what kind of things they pursue, what goals they have, what do you think they think is success?
They were referring to Thailand as a third world country. Mm-hmm. You know, why would you want to live in a third world country? Mm-hmm.
I see.
And again, I didn't see anything third world when I was there.
Yeah.
The spots I was at anyways.
Yeah. I don't know, Geoffrey. So this okay, so I think you and I both are aware, because we've been out here. Not only have we just like seen videos and, you know, can discount the videos because we think they're just hard selling or just showing the only bright aspects of it, but we've actually been out here, and we do know that, I mean, for example, Bangkok, it's I mean, we live in a pretty modern area of America too, Southern California, right? But
absolutely.
Being out here in Bangkok, I do not consider this third world country. I would argue it's actually, my lifestyle is more modern than being in Southern California to some degree. And if you start lumping together Asia, then you're completely out of your mind, because if you go to somewhere like Seoul or Tokyo, then it blows away any modern city in America. It's
Japan feels like you just went to the future.
Singapore, I mean, if you go to Gardens by the Bay, it seems like you're in space, literally. They're growing like plants in pods. Asia is just so diverse. Anyone who's lumping them together and thinking they are living in some awesome futuristic first world country because it's America is completely out of their mind, and they're just so ethnocentric.
Right, absolutely.
It's I don't think you can even, I think it's a waste of time even talking to them, honestly. But
and one thing I think about here in the States, I think the vibe has changed a little bit, right? Where it's just a lot of people here now. Everybody's coming in. They don't really treat it as their own. The neighborhood I live in, there's like a little Caesars down the street. There's pizza boxes all over the streets. It's like there's that sense of like American pride has like gone down a little bit. And that's kind of weird.
You know, this is something I've heard from my friends back in SoCal. But they tell me that, you know, when they drive through Fountain Valley and such, they just seen like an increase of homeless people. And believe you me, one of the biggest troll comments I get from people on my channel is that even people who say they've lived out here, they say, you know, they see poverty and just sadness everywhere. It takes a toll on them. And I'm like, where do you see these homeless, like, poor people, except maybe in Siam, because I know that they actually are related to the mafia, and then they're professional beggars, because there's a whole separate story about this. But that's like the only place I actually see people begging out here. Whereas in America, I run across like really, really homeless people just like sitting around in the streets and stuff. And you can tell they're like drugged up or drinking alcohol. But this was like before I left. But then they told me after I left, like, homelessness increased significantly. It's just so crazy out there in California. So
I'm in downtown LA, man. It's just out of control.
Yeah,
just out of control. There's tents everywhere on the street. It just looks like a
I mean,
a ghost town.
I would never ever walk in the middle of downtown LA, like you know, where USC is, etc. at night. I feel endangered, you know. Whereas out here, like, there's really almost no place I wouldn't go, you know, around the city center areas. I feel completely safe.
Yeah, I felt very safe there.
And actually, being truthful, I think, because I'm not saying that Thailand isn't safe, but just because, like, I feel like even if you go to Korea or Singapore or Hong Kong or even Taiwan, it's even safer. You know,
right?
It's right. And I still feel very safe, like, traveling like in the city center, because I don't see like crazy homeless people like drinking out of their minds, and like you don't know if you're gonna get shot. I mean, there people generally don't really carry guns around here, although you can technically own a gun. But there isn't any of that kind of violence. So in many aspects, like how modern the city is, how safe it is, these are misconceptions. I'm not going to blame your friends. I'm not going to say that they're ignorant, because when I think about it, I remember my friends hard selling me the Philippines. I had a lot of Filipino friends, and I had a lot of Vietnamese friends too. But actually, my Vietnamese friends don't hard sell me Vietnam. Because generally they were, because generally they got kicked out of the country because, the South lost, and then now you have the communists. So my Vietnamese friends generally, like, not a lot of them like Vietnam per se, right?
Okay. What were the Filipinos selling about the Philippines?
They would say you're gonna have a fantastic time there. You just need $400 and you can party every day, have lobsters like for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They'll just like go and catch it for you in the sea, and then there's just bars. You like pay them like 20 or 30 cents, and they'll cook it for you. And I'm like, no way, like this. Actually, but the thing is, that's since changed. Because my friends, I remember, were talking about that, and they were talking about Boracay. It's like a famous place, and now it's so touristy. I heard they even shut it down because the beach is going mad. But there's still, prices have gone up, but back then it was relative. Even when I was making less money or whatever, $400. I'm like, God, no, I'm gonna probably go there. I'm gonna get, I remember seeing some video about. Was it the beach or people like taking you and like selling your organs and stuff?
Oh, wow.
There's like those kinds of movies out there. I remember it was a very popular movie. These kinds of things are all in American culture that will scare you and make you think, oh, that's what's going to happen most likely if I go out there,
Yeah.
And
I think one of those things that I had heard about before coming out there was that they'll drive by on a motorbike with a X-Acto knife and cut your backpack off your shoulder while the motorbike is going, and just drive off with it.
This is the thing too, though. Even when I was backpacking in Vietnam, particularly, I mean, Vietnam is a bit more dangerous. That's why I myself don't live out there. Although I don't mind going there and visiting. I don't think the risk is that much. I think the risk of something happening to me, knowing how I know how to handle myself now, is just as much as me just walking through downtown Santa Ana by all the bars and stuff. Some guy like wanting to pick a fight with me or something. But I would even hear from other backpackers stories of some girl holding onto her backpack, and then like the guy, trying to snatch it, will like drag her across the asphalt, and then her having to go to the hospital bleeding out because, these are stories I hear from people who are traveling out here too. It's just that, I mean, maybe I'm lucky, but I've been out here for quite some time, so I should have seen some of these things, but I personally haven't.
In my experience in Thailand, I didn't see any of that. I didn't feel anything shady from any Thai person. And I was told by other foreigners there that if there was to be a problem, it would probably because another Farang got you into that mess. That's what I was told.
Actually, I sort of am at the same school of thought with that as well. There's two sides of this story, though. First of all, Thailand, the reason I'm living in Thailand out of all the other Southeast Asian countries is, after having traveled to them, I do believe Thailand is much safer. So you can't compare Thailand to Vietnam. Okay. And even just the tourism and the transportation and everything out here, because the people that travel out here are just as much Thai as tourists. I can go on a local bus at local prices, whereas in Vietnam, at least 2-3 years ago when I went and I was backpacking through the whole country, the only people that were really traveling are tourists. So you're always getting tourist prices. So even though it's actually, that's more of a third world country. Like I consider Vietnam a third world country, but I'm paying more, you know. I'm paying more for transportation. I'm paying more to get into the national parks. Although I don't mind, because I feel at that time, because there weren't as many tourists as there were in Thailand, I felt like it was something exclusive. Like I would go into like these tombs and there was only like 10 of us there. Sometimes I would like take a picture and there's nobody. That's like cool. In this whole compound. So yeah, I'm paying twice as much, which actually isn't even that much. It's like I'm paying $1 here as opposed to $2. You know, it's like, but yeah. I'm getting like percentage wise it's higher, but overall it's still cheap. And right. I'm getting like a unique experience. So I didn't mind that, but as far as living there, I did see there's corruption.
So like, what drew you to Bangkok?
Jeez. If I get started, it's gonna take too long.
I mean, just you know, rattle off your top 3 reasons.
The top reasons, it's first of all, I really like the culture here. I think it's the best.
Culture's amazing.
Yeah, I think it's the best balance as far as like work-life balance. I feel that compared to like this is why I think it's crazy to generalize about Asia, because if California is here in the middle, I would say like Koreans and Japanese are probably far more hardworking and just like, you know, it's like the work ethic and the culture is more stressful, right? California is actually more chill compared to that. Thailand, I think, is more chill than California.
More chill.
Yeah, it's not just work. I'm not just talking about how hard people are working. It's just how people treat each other and how society runs. Like if I go to Korea and I'm in a vending machine, if I don't like choose, because it's hard for me to read Korean, like within 2 or 3 seconds they'll spit the token back out. You know, like, why are you taking so long? People get very impatient with you very quickly because they're always running really fast, it's like, and efficiently. And that some people might like that, but to me, if you expect other people to give you great service and perform efficiently all the time, it's the same for you. And for my balance, I would rather, you know, just relax a little bit more.
Right.
Take in the sights, smell the coffee kind of person, you know?
Thai time.
Yeah. And it's just, I'm more used to this relaxed environment. And I would say that Korea is like, let's say, I did say that America's sort of in the middle, but it's not in the middle per se. Korea is like really high intensity, like super fast, efficient. If America's here, Thailand is like here. You know what I'm saying? It's just slightly more chill. It's not like it's right in the middle. So for me, being out here was a closer connection to my life that I was used to back in America, as opposed to living in Korea per se. And I mean, having traveled to Hong Kong, I would say it's the same in Hong Kong too. It's just everything is just
hustle.
Yeah, everyone's hustling, and you always gotta watch your back. There's really no time to really take in the sights and enjoy your life. So I like that. I mean, this might be different if you're coming from New York, because New York, you know, those guys are just all hustle kind of mentality. But
so I definitely felt like some pressure had been relieved when I was touched down in Thailand.
Yeah. I mean, you see the world differently because you're not under a constant schedule to do something, you know?
Right.
And there's many reasons. So the culture. And then I would say number 2 is the food. Food was very important to me. So actually, I wouldn't mind living in Korea. The one big benefit of Korea is food. Things are expensive there, but food is actually relatively affordable. And especially affordable relative to how much you'll earn there. Food was important to me because just my diet, I need Korean food. But out here in Bangkok, I can get Korean food, I can get Japanese food, and I can get all the other Western foods as well. So food was important, you know.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think.
And there's a good variety in Bangkok.
Definitely, there's I think
besides Mexican food.
That's what I say. I mean, coming from California, we're sort of spoiled with great international food choices. So I thought it would be really hard for me to find another place that I could live in, other than Korea, because I could eat Korean food, you know? But here, not only do you have Korean food, but you have other international choices as well, and it's very affordable. Whereas in Korea, if you try to do international food, it's super expensive.
Right.
Here, like Japanese food is so available because there's so many Japanese out here, and delicious too. I think Japanese food is better than California. Korean food isn't as good as California. I think even in Korea, Korean food, like LA Korean food rivals even Korean food, you know, in Korea, mainland Korea. And so Korean food takes a little backseat, but it compensates for it because I love Japanese food, and Japanese food is just good out here. And I can get Western food and make Western food. So that's important. Number 2, the food choices. And then number 3 is, I'm not going to lie, and I was going to talk about this. When I came out here, I was meeting a lot of beautiful women and dating a lot of women, right? But it's not just Thailand. I mean, anywhere in Asia. But now that I come to think of it, one of the reasons I knew that I wasn't having a good romance life in the States is not necessarily because I think the women are necessarily worse there. Because a lot of troll commenters will say, oh, move out there because women in America are bad or whatever. I don't necessarily think that. I just think it's such a high stress environment, and you have to have all your finances in order just to survive and get your kids through college and all of this, that we're so focused on finances out there just to make ends meet, that relationships and marriages end up being about money.
Right.
And
it goes back to culture.
Yeah, and well, the ironic thing is a lot of Americans think that Asian people are gold diggers, Asian girls. They only want like rich guys who are foreigners. But as a matter of fact, I know at least the friends I have, like a lot of them marry even wealthier Thais or are in relationships with wealthier Thais, girls who are much wealthier than they are, So,
right.
I do see like the older guys come out here and they're dating these super young girls that really have no money, but I mean, more power to them. That's what makes their, boat float or whatever.
I was dating a girl out there that owned her own business, and I was taking her around. We were going out and stuff, and people would come up to me and they'd be like, "Oh, is she a bar girl?" And I'm like, "No, dummy, she owns her own business. She's on par with. She's got her own bank."
Yeah, and even actually the girls that speak English out here tend to be better educated and from really well-off families, and in Bangkok in particular is easy because I don't know if you're aware of this, but it has one of the best female to male ratios out there in the world. Particularly because I think a lot of it has to do with like, if you talk to a Bangkok girl, they're always complaining they can't find guys because if there's like in Bangkok there will be six girls and 4 guys, right? But then one out of the 4 guys, one of them is gonna be
or
gay. One of them is gonna be gay. And one of them's gonna be a lady boy. And then the other two guys are the other one guy is gonna like the lady boy, right? So then you only have 1 guy for every 6 girls.
Wow.
So the ratio.
That's amazing.
The ratio is great. I mean, so this goes to like, I'm gonna be straight up honest with you. Why would you live in an area where it's harder? Harder to make ends meet, harder to like have actually a normal male-female relationship and it's just more of, I felt like whenever I'm like dating or even on Tinder, even Tinder, the most like like basic dating app where it's just all
man, since I've been
appearances.
back, my Tinder has been dead, and over there it was like I couldn't keep up with the messages.
No,
but to go along with what you're saying, yeah. I don't come from like the, what's it called, MGTOW or whatever. I don't come from that school of thought at all, right?
Yeah, I heard about that.
I totally agree with what you're saying. Like, I believe that these girls in America have good intentions. I really do. Yeah. But I think they just get caught up in trying to keep up with the Joneses and just trying to figure it out. Like you said, like just trying to live up to the hype, where over there it's just like it's more organic when you meet somebody.
Yeah,
like, oh, I like you too. Let's see what's up. It clicks a little bit easier.
A man and a woman's relationship isn't that it shouldn't be that difficult. It should be just based on, are you attracted, physically, and then are you attracted based on values, like what you want to do with life. But in America, it seems like if you're living there, most people our age, we're only focused on building up, financial security, because we start with so much student loan debt, and like we have all these payments, and how are we going to get kids, all this. It becomes a business relationship, and that's what we're focusing on. So in some ways, I'm sorry to say this, but it's not that because women are like this, but the society causes, men and women to be materialistic in America. It's just the culture. I think this is great. I mean, that's why I say, I'm not bagging on America, first of all. So this is when I'm going to talk about the pros of America, okay? Because a lot of people think, because I'm saying I like my life out here, like Americans are this is another thing I don't like. They think if I say this is good, then I'm saying that this is bad. That's not how I think, right? It's not.
One
so
may not be better. They're just different.
Life isn't black and white. Like Americans believe, like there's one like solution for everything, and if you do that, it's like, okay. One of the reasons I got out, like I like being out here, is the culture out here isn't like that. People are very respectful of being respectful of you means that if you have an opinion, you don't like force them into some argument to justify everything they think. It gets very tiring, right? And our thoughts evolve as well anyways. So why are you sitting there like arguing about some ideal? And I laugh at myself, like what I used to do when I was 18 years old. I didn't know anything about the world, and I used to argue and troll other people on Facebook if they thought something different, and think, whatever their ideas are is causing the world to go south, Like now that I'm older, I'm over it. I realize I myself, I was wrong in many other cases. I was so in a box that I didn't see the truth, and I would argue about things, and that would just cause things to become worse, even if I was right. I'm basically alienating and polarizing the other party, and it's not gonna help. You never convince anyone to do anything by calling them an idiot. I say turn off the news. You don't need it. There's never anything positive on the news. Lately, I haven't been watching. Like, I try not to watch the news because it doesn't help. It just makes me frustrated and angry. But yeah, out here, people are very respectful of whatever your thoughts and beliefs are, and we hear out each other. And it's not that we aren't intellectual, but we actually are probably more independent in that after we hear out each other, unless it's a very good argument, we're going to continue with our thoughts, and then, but I don't like, and whenever I meet them, like try to convince them to turn over to my side, because we all know, like, words don't mean as much. Out here, it's more about your action,
Right.
And I like that. Yeah.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
And one really quick thing, we talked about dating real quick. I just don't want to leave one thing out. For the people who are thinking about going over there, I don't want to like make it seem like everything's just going to be super, super, super easy, because dating is dating anywhere. So what I would recommend is, if you're thinking about getting in a serious relationship with someone or marriage, take your time. Because I think a lot of guys come to Thailand and they get attention and they're like, oh, I'm going to marry this girl.
My number one advice to anybody coming out here is do not even get a girlfriend for the first year. Like,
yeah,
I don't think it's a good idea, because it's not easy. There is no way in hell being in a relationship is easier than being in America, because there's so many cultural differences and things like that when you come out, a lot of people come out here and think, oh, because the girl is acting this way, and because if a girl acts this way in America, this means this. They assume a lot of things, and they move really, really fast because they're loving it. They're in that initial like lovey-dovey stage, and they end up with somebody that they really don't even know, you know?
Yeah. And you do get a lot of attention, and that attention can get you a little love drunk.
Because in the States, this is the thing. It's not just attention from girls. You just get a lot of attention because people are more social out here. We actually interact. Whereas in the States, one of the things I don't like about being in the States is I call it a pod life. That's the only way I can describe it. We go from pod to pod to pod, and we're so isolated. We're in our little condo or apartment, then we get in our little car pod, and then we go to work and we're in our little cubicles, I actually had a pretty social work where I had to go and do sales meetings and stuff, so I would meet people. But
And where were you again?
I keep it professional. I was a mortgage loan officer at the very end, and I worked in a bank. So everything I do, I interact with people. But it's not like we're relating on a personal level,
And that was in Orange County.
Yeah. Even when I relate to people on a personal level, it's always business. I'm profiling them to see what kind of financial roadmap they're in and what product I can sell. If this guy has kids, then I can sell him an education 502 plan, or I don't know. Like, it's like that's what I'm doing. I'm talking to profile someone for business, not because I really care about this person, because this person isn't gonna necessarily come back and talk to me, It's so and even when I'm with my long-term business partners, it's like we have great friendships. Actually, some of my best friends are actually from work, because we end up talking a lot more than my friends, because they're all doing their own work thing, moving to their pod. Eventually, by my age, they're getting married, and they're like completely isolated, and they don't even probably want to talk to us single guys, because they I don't know, maybe they just want to believe the path they have chosen is correct. And I think that's the biggest thing. I think that's the biggest resistance you generally come up with. And it's not just moving to Thailand. I just remember, if anybody chooses any kind of life decision that's very different from the group that you're already associated with, whether it be, I'm going to move to Utah, or I'm going to go to Houston because, there's a lot more hospitals and jobs there. That was a big one. A lot of other guys were moving to Vegas if they're in hospitality. And a lot of people are actually moving out of California, although a lot of people are moving in, but that's causing them to move out because they want better work-life balance. So I remember even me thinking like, oh, he's moving out to Texas, and I'm like, God, maybe it is good, but I already bought a home here. I convinced myself that this is the best life. To some degree, you feel jealous. Like, what if this guy does have an amazing life out in Texas, And then,
so you do still have those thoughts at this point in the game?
No, I don't anymore, because
you don't anymore.
I'm having a great life out here now. But when I was back there, just grinding away, doing the 9 to 5, it was more like 9 to 10 for me. But
so that is a thought that I have. I live in LA. I live in downtown LA.
Yeah.
It's a transient city. People come and go all the time.
Yeah.
I'm involved in entertainment here, so entertainment people are like always on and always trying to be your friend, but not really your friend.
Yeah.
Right? So that shit is just terrible, right? So I do wonder if I did live in a place like Texas, would it be different? Would there be room for realer friendships and better interactions with people day to day, etc.?
That's a fair question, and honestly, I can't answer that because I didn't myself, right? But sometimes I think maybe that is a possibility, but you'll find that there's a lot of people that are living out here from Texas having the same reasons that I have, Okay. And a lot of people in America, they discount these comments. They really do. Because that's their defensive mechanism. Because if they believe that life out here really is better because you really have better work-life balance, you get to actually socialize with people. You actually are human out here, Food is great, weather is great, great transportation, great health care. That's huge. Anyways, this is becoming a sequester. I mean, side little thing. So let's get back to the thing. But where were we?
Oh, you know what? Live Travel Asia. That's another appeal of living in Thailand. It's easy to travel.
Well, if we're talking about pros and cons, another thing, at the end of the day, all right, so this overall theme of why I eventually moved out here is because what really triggered, there was like a moment in my life living there. It's not that I'm not grateful for what I had. I love America, right? It gave me the opportunity to get a great education, have an expertise, have a career. And I know I'm it's not like people are like, well, think about all those poor local people over there, slaving away at sweatshops and stuff. First of all, they're not slaving away in sweatshops out here, at least. But I'm not saying I'm not grateful for the position I'm in. I'm very grateful. But I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting more. So like some people, I think this is like the excuse that people use. It's not like this is actually it's not that I've never heard anyone say that it's easier out here. It's usually they're like, you're ungrateful for your life, especially coming from a Christian background, because we believe that we should be grateful.
No,
for
you know what?
everything.
That was a comment that the friends made.
Oh, yeah.
They were like, why do you want to go out there? Oh, you want to be treated like a king. I was like, yeah.
That's funny because one of the most negative comments you'll get from like the bitter expats, because there's bitter expats out here, is that people out here are racist. They treat me racist because I'm white or whatever. It's like, and they're like, oh, you get treated better because you're Korean or whatever, and you're Asian, you're in your area. And I'm like, no, they actually probably treat white people better out here than Koreans, Well, actually, they treat Koreans quite well, but they think I'm Chinese, and they think I'm lying to say that I'm Korean and not Chinese. Like it's complicated.
You could kind of pass for Thai one day out of the week.
I could. Depends on how I dress and my hairstyle. I think like I don't have the curly hairstyle from Korea and stuff, so people now think I'm either Chinese or. Sometimes I pass for Thai if I'm in a very local area.
Your glasses kind of got the Korean swag.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I got these from Korea.
There you go.
Yeah, but anyways, yeah. As far as
that goes, I think you kind of see what you want to see. So it can get frustrating, if you're here in Thai all day, and you just kind of start to feel like you're on an island. I could see how someone could get in that mind state, but I think you have to get involved in the community somehow. Like you can't just be hanging out at the bar and going back to your room and to the bar and like that. That's where those people get on that loop.
Exactly. I'm going to tell you this. If you aren't happy, this isn't necessarily true that if you aren't happy back home, you aren't going to be happy here. Because I was actually relatively unhappy back there, but I was convincing myself all the time that I'm happy, that I should be grateful. you know, that I should be content. This is like, you know, very Christian themes. But there was a point when I got the shingles, and the shingle, I mean, it's not that big of a deal, honestly, but this is what triggered like something in my head, because I went to the doctor, and the doctor's like, you're probably going to die of stress related diseases because you shouldn't have shingles at your age, you know?
Wow.
And he's like, you need to take a vacation and you relax and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, how the heck am I supposed to relax? My job doesn't allow me to like be off the phone. People call me at 2 a.m. I got to still answer and explain to them why their escrow is like not going through or the loan's not approved, etc. So it's like, there's no way I can take a vacation, you know? This is just what I have to do. But up to that point, the whole time, I was just thinking, I'm a very fortunate guy. I have far more than everybody else out here. You know,
Right.
A lot of my other friends, I own my own condo, I drive a nice car, I have a really great career. People like, you know, want to be like me. So I'm just being ungrateful. That's what I convince myself, and I just work harder and I power through, right? But when the stress actually becomes physical, then it becomes very humbling, because then it's no longer just in your head, you know? Because I was very good at convincing myself that I should be grateful. When the doctor's telling you're under a lot of stress, that humbled me, and I had to rethink this. That's what triggered me to think, am I really under stress? Because yeah, I do feel stressed, right? But I thought everybody else is under this much stress. I think this
Right.
is normal. But at the same time, something that my father did was, my parents moved back to Korea because they themselves
They
said,
did.
yeah, just like a few years ago, right?
Okay.
And they're like, you know, one thing that I did wrong was I raised you too tough, and this is sort of my fault that you're going through all this stressful issue. I don't want to go into my personal stuff. I talk
Well,
about
that's
another
cool
one.
that he said that, though.
Yeah,
real quick.
it's the only like good advice I ever heard from my father. Me and my father still don't have a good relationship. But this is the one time he's like, you know, I actually made a mistake with you. I made you like, you know, too like uncaring of your emotions, and just power through, and you don't know even how to enjoy life, which I'm like, what's the point of enjoying? Like, to me, everything is just about how successful I am and what I do and what I accomplish in life. And to me, that was, I need to make a lot of money so I can donate a lot of money, tie to the church, and do good things, right? And ultimately, I would get blessed and go to heaven or whatever, right?
Are you involved in religion over there?
Honestly, no.
No.
I
Do you
don't
like to
even-
go to the temples and that kind of stuff?
No, I'm definitely not a religious guy. You'll see.
Okay.
Ever since I've come here, I think I've become less religious, to be honest with you. For many
I
reasons.
dug going to the temples. It's always peaceful.
It's peaceful. I don't. It's not that I don't mind going there, but I find peace everywhere out
Everywhere.
here. You know. But that's when I had a physical manifestation of my stress. That's
Yeah,
what made
that's
me rethink
crazy,
it.
man.
And I'm like, I do need to take a vacation, but there's no way I can take a vacation. I have to. I was like, you know what? I never took a Euro trip. I wasn't one of those kids. I was like always stingy. I didn't even want to go to Korea or whatever. Like even though I was born there, I didn't go to Korea. I only went to Korea once in like 20 years or something like
Wow.
that, because I didn't. My parents are poor. They're not going to pay for me to go to Korea. I have to pay for it. If I go, I'm not making money. I was like a very stingy type of guy, you know? But even though I was stingy and like I saved money and stuff like that, I didn't really see myself that ahead. I knew that the moment I get ill and I can't work, I'm going to be behind on my mortgage payments.
Right.
In just a couple months.
Right.
And that's like a constant stress. You're like, I always have to perform. I always have to do great, you know?
Yeah.
I have a 401k and stuff, but that's going to disappear if I don't have a job for like even 6 months, you know? And I'm like, what the heck did my life up to this point surmount to, you know? So it's not like people think I came out here with the intention to make my money stretch and stuff, but no. I originally came because I needed a vacation, and I knew the only way I can have a vacation is I have to literally quit my job. It's just the nature of my job, because even
was there
like
something about Thailand that made you fall in love with it, or was it just kind of?
well,
I mean, was there any like
well,
revelation moments where you were like, this place is dope?
well, it has to do with the story. I'm sort of going in a roundabout way, and I'm actually sort of repeating everything I've said. So I think this should be less about me and more about you. But to sum it up, I had to quit my job, and then when I went to Korea, just for a vacation, to be with family, and my dad said you can enjoy life or whatever, I had a reality check in that Korea was far more stressful. There was like far more expectations of me because I'm the most successful like child in the whole family. You know, I have to be like what they call the post of the family and stuff. And it's a small world over there because my father's a minister and everyone knows everybody, and it's just and the thing about Korea is I've always lived in warm weather. I've lived in Korea and Africa and California, and I just constantly got sick. I like almost tore my Achilles tendon and stuff just walking because my
Oh wow.
like it's crazy cold over there. So that's when I was like injured. I couldn't even walk. I decided to come out to Thailand. The only reason I came here is because my aunt had a condo. It was free. She's like, you can just go stay there. And I'm like, why not?
Wow.
So
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's not. I didn't really do much research, but I talked to her for a day or two. She told me, oh, you can go to here, here, and here, and travel the islands. I'm like, oh, it doesn't seem that bad. And I was scared because my sister had cholera the one when she came here, so I never wanted to come here. But I'm like, well, it's probably better than freezing to death. And the thing about me is, when I was leaving, not only was I thinking I need to lower the stress level, and I realized as I was like planning for that trip that I really did have a ton of stress because, like you said, I felt physically weight lifting off my shoulders, not having to worry about the 16 loans that I have in the pipeline and how they're going to close and all this stuff.
Right.
Then that I realized there's something probably wrong, and I really am gonna get sick because like when I realized the difference of not having stress and how much stress I was under, I realized it was very significant, and I could actually breathe like twice as much and my lungs expanded. But the number two thing though is I thought if I live like this under stress, I'll probably die when I'm like 50 or 60 if I'm lucky, from cancer or some other stress related issue.
Yeah.
That I would like the thing I would feel really horrible about is dying when I've only worked and acquired things. I mean, what does my legacy surmount to,
Right.
I was just a good Christian kid that went to church all the time, tithed regularly, worked hard, stuck with one company even though other companies are recruiting me for more money because I'm a loyal guy, try to be a good father or whatever. But I wouldn't have much experience. Like actually, if I got married, I would stay. I would continue convincing myself this is my purpose. I wouldn't have any choice anyways, Like in America, when you get married as a guy, you're stuck. Yeah. Right. But I was actually like one of the triggers for the stress is I was going through an engagement which didn't work out, and I was spending all this money on it and time and effort into that relationship, and like I was sort of free. As a Christian, you're sort of expected to get married and have a family and stuff. This is part of a Christian value, but I wasn't under that premise anymore because I was like agreeing to an arranged marriage from my father with another great Christian girl and stuff, and like I had an excuse. I was like, oh, God is telling me I don't need to get married, so I have to find another purpose for my life, purpose-driven life. This is what Christians like to think. And I'm like, well, if I can't really do much out here, I'm not, then maybe I should go and, learn about the world so I can serve better or something like this. and I just need to experience more of life. Like like my life really doesn't surmount to much other than I tide very well and help people, right? So yeah, I thought even if I'm gonna die out here, because at that point I was sort of thinking the same thing most Americans think, that Thailand is some crazy third world country I'm gonna die in. I thought I might as well live my life for 3, 4, 5 years while I'm still healthy and young, and I probably would accomplish more than if I was to die in my 50s and 60s, from stress-related diseases because I'm working so hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's like at the end.
How do you feel now?
Well, now I like, you see my video. Like I feel like I've
you're
accomplished.
gonna live a long life.
No, it doesn't matter. To me, actually, I don't even want to live a long life. But I already consider myself a success because I've experienced more than I ever imagined I ever would in my whole lifetime. Even if I live to be 80s, like I filled up my passport like in just the first 2 years, and I'm just like, oh my god. To me, that's so out here. Coming out here for me was because, to me, Asia was an adventure, and that's what I wanted. I wanted a different experience. So this ties back into how would you consider yourself a success here? My success is just if I have new experiences, if I'm doing new things, then I am making progress in my life.
Yeah.
I feel
I'm
that
with you on that.
I feel that the worst thing that you can do and be the most stagnant is just repeating the same thing over and over and over again. Yeah. And to me, upgrading my S2000.
I don't understand buying a house and just to be married to that house for the next 60 years.
To
it
me,
doesn't make sense to me.
To me,
I'd rather just have experiences.
Yeah.
And feel like an astronaut being shot into outer space, just going into the unknown. Just taking on whatever comes. That to me is feeling alive.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's what I define as success, experiencing the most you can in life. Because at the end of the day, that's all you're gonna have, Now,
Absolutely.
It's different if you have kids. I think that's a noble cause, because maybe you have some great values or something to add to this world that you want your children to carry on, etc. But some people think that this life is selfish, living for an experience because I'm having fun. But I actually consider it one of the least selfish things to do, accepting not having children, because to me, I believe that we all know one of the biggest problems with this earth is overpopulation.
Well, it's not though, because you know why? If you were to do something like that, if you were to have kids and you didn't really want to, at the end of the day, you're gonna resent it.
I don't necessarily
want to be in a position.
No,
like that.
I first of all, I don't want to have children, because if I wanted to do something good for this earth and leave a legacy, I believe the best way to do it is by taking on children that are unfortunate and are just left out there. I mean, I guess this is my experience with living in Africa and seeing really there's a ton of poverty. Like Asian people aren't living in poverty and scratching the barrel. In Africa, the stuff I see is poverty. Like there are kids that are left alone that just die because no one's taking care of them. Wow. I feel it's selfish to bring forth a child just because it has my likeness, my DNA, to continue my name, when there are little children dying everywhere. If I really wanted to do something for the earth and leave a legacy, I believe that if I help those children, they would be far more grateful and do good on this earth than if I was to just raise some kid in America that's going to grow up, being bombarded with Kim Kardashian or whatever popular media that I was. Right. If I have kids, I expect them to be completely ungrateful, just like it's not because I think, I'm not going to do a good job or try my best, or that my kids are necessarily bad. It's an uphill battle over there with the media and how they influence you. Like they just pretty much condition you from the beginning to be wage earning robots that consume. That's
Yes, they do.
basically what they condition you to be in the West, you know?
Yes, they
And
do.
I'm not saying that that's not what happens out here either, but there's tons of them. If there's unfortunate children, whether it be in America or here, I just feel that, to me, if to those people who are saying, you know, you need to serve a greater purpose, you need to have a family, and this is the only way you can live an unselfish life. No, I believe that's very selfish. You're trying to continue your seed. You're not actually trying to help the earth. If you're trying to help the earth, save a kid that's about to die and show him kindness and love so that he passes on that kindness and love.
And there's
not,
plenty of kids out there that need help and need love.
Yeah, and that's why you have all this violence there in Africa. It's because the only people that give them any attention are, like, you know, terrorists and whatever, that take them in and then indoctrinate them as little and then it's a cycle of hate and violence over there because nobody cares about them, you know. So, like, I guess that's something that's very unique to my mind, the train of thought, that it's like I'm not, like, first of all, I'm not saying I'm some great guy. I'm, like, judging people who have their own kids, because that's great. Because
Ethan's
right now
gonna
where
adopt
I'm at,
30 kids, guys.
I have problems just taking care of myself, you know? So number one, I think you should be able to take care of yourself. And then if I ever was rich, like, let's say I become crazy YouTube guy and have millions of subs and I have a ton of money. If I was to do something, I wouldn't, the first thing I'm thinking isn't, I'm going to have a family so I can, you know, have, like, Ethan Jr. to continue my seed and, you know, do great things. No, I would be thinking about, if I was thinking about, you know, mentoring, I would mentor somebody that was unfortunate, you know, a kid that otherwise would have been left to die. That's the way I think. And I'm completely,
cool.
I've already accepted, I'm completely okay not, you know, needing to selfishly leave a seed, right? I also got a sister who's gonna who's trying to have a kid anyways, so
There you go.
I'll leave that to her. But yeah, I mean, our convo got pretty long, but to
That's
sum
good.
it up, I mean, I gotta do the Patreon stream now.
Yeah,
Sorry, it's
absolutely.
like, you know, we don't have time. But to sum it up, I think if you're coming out here with a purpose that isn't like, I need to make money, you know, as to define success, or I need to come out here and be accepted by all the women and be a Casanova. But you're coming out here with just an open mind, like I did, with, you just want to learn more about the world, not be stuck in such a, you know, box. Not
Yeah,
saying that not
absolutely.
saying that Thailand, the ideals are any better than America. I think America has some of the greatest ideals. I believe in our constitution. I believe it's, like, the best constitution in the world. But it's seeing it from such a, you know, closed box without reference to the world, I think it hurts you, you know?
Right.
And
right.
that's what I wanted to do, because I realized the more perspectives I saw, the more I realized that what I thought was the norm is actually not the norm, and it allowed me to balance myself
Right.
out more.
And that's what you get from traveling.
Yeah,
That's really what you get from traveling.
so that's one of the biggest pros of having new experiences, traveling. You just become a smarter, wiser person, and I don't even think you should expect anything, because my years living out here has completely changed my outlook on what I want from life and what I want to do with life, and actually, to some degree, humbled me and made me more simple.
Absolutely.
I'm not some guy that thinks I can, like, change the world anymore, or
Yeah.
create some, you know, maybe some people think I'm irresponsible or whatever. I should take on that responsibility, but I realize that the only great thing I can do to this world is maybe bring people some happiness and joy. And
There
that's
you go.
that's why I do my YouTube channel. It's like, I don't even want to assume that I'm, like, educating or being an expert in Asia, because there's so many other points of views that I think are just as valid. It's just that I don't have those points of views because my experiences from them are less negative, maybe, or maybe more positive than other people. But I think what I can add, because I'm having such a great time out here, is add a bit of positivity to the world, give people, just show them a different side of this world. So I'm not saying they have to move out here, but if they were thinking like me, like, oh man, moving out to Asia is just like so crazy, and you're gonna die. I want to go there and experience some different stuff than this 9 to 5, but I don't want to because I'm gonna die. I want to at least tell them that's not true, and you can have some fun out here, so you can travel. I mean, if I could do that and influence people to be able to enjoy life a little bit more because they're taking better vacations, or like you, maybe even want to move out here and just have life-altering experiences for the good.
There's just little moments that you have. I was at the grocery store tonight, and they had, in the produce section, they had coconuts that were like peeled and ready to drink. You just have to bust them open, and it said product of Thailand on it and stuff. And I was like, I got so excited. I'm like, I'm getting one. I gotta get one. And I have my little like Thailand moment like here.
Yeah.
And it's like you get these little moments of excitement that no one can really. It's for you, right? It's totally for you, right? If I was like to walk up to someone in the store and be like, "Look at this coconut! Oh my God!" They'd be like, "What the hell is he? What are you so excited about?" And I'm like, you don't even know. You don't even know." But it's like you get that stuff from these places you go, and especially Thailand. Thailand like has that special place in my heart. Ideally, I think at this point in the game, having really molded over and had some time to think about it, I would like to live in both places. I mean, if that could happen.
If you can make that happen, I think that's great. Really, if I could do it, I would do that too. Because a lot of people comment on this, and it's true to some degree. Unless you have a ton of money, which I don't, you are still gonna do a lot of the 9 to 5 stuff out here.
Right.
Luckily, I did save up a bit more. I don't know how much you saved, but for my situation, this worked out. I'm not saying that everyone's situation is going to be like this, but I came out here. I saw a great opportunity to buy a condo. I'm not saying that this great opportunity is available for everybody, but when you're out here, then you come across great opportunities because you put yourself in a position, and I found a great deal. So I got that, and I'm like, originally I got it thinking I might even go back to America and just use it as a vacation home, but awesome, it helps me save on the cost, and I could work very little to just support my lifestyle, which to buy food and such. And I found that I'm far more passionate about making videos and, learning about cameras and YouTube and editing than I ever felt passionate about like selling another loan and, closing that commission and, bringing back that big paycheck. It's good that you have a base there. So I just find this lifestyle much more fulfilling for me. So that's why I'm out here doing that. But if you can maximize your experience by earning more money there, and then coming out here and not having to work like me, even just 2 days like I do, then it's great. Whatever makes it work for you, whatever brings that balance to you, and your goals and life objectives are going to be different than me. It's like I want to create, a YouTube channel, influence people, bring positivity into their lives. This is what drives me, right? But I don't know what your thing is gonna be. It might just be, who knows? I'm not saying it's bad. You might want to get married and have a family. You might want to just travel the most and be an expert in just food or different location. I don't know, but whatever it is.
Well, my thing is I want to show people what they can do, and what's out there.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I think. This is the thing my aunt used to say. She's conservative Korean, grew up in Korea the whole time. She's old school baby boomer, right? But she totally sounded like a hippie to me when she was talking about Thailand. She's like, you know what, Ethan, when I was there, you feel like you can do anything. Because you meet people or the people that are out here are far more out of the box,
Definitely.
So you're surrounded by people who have like this can-do attitude, and
you never know who anybody is.
Yeah.
People can kind of be whoever they want there, right?
Well,
Can have a new life.
they could, in some ways, you can be anything you want at home. But the thing that's different here is you don't have those friends, supposed friends
Right.
and family members, to hold you to a certain mold that they see you in.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
That's what I mean.
So you have less
what I mean.
resistance to actually be whoever you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think that's what I don't think Thailand is necessarily a better environment for you to be who you want or be less materialistic. In some ways, I find that in Thailand, in Bangkok particularly, there's a lot of materialism and just as much media influence or whatever. It's just that for my particular
Really?
situation, yeah. I mean, well, actually the commercials here are very family orientated, you'll see. But you'll see that the girls are just into expensive jewelry or fancy stuff as any
Those
other
circles,
American girl.
those circles exist everywhere.
Yeah, guys want to have expensive cars or bikes if they could. I mean, here cars are more expensive, so they want big bikes, with nice big engines.
Right, right.
400cc or whatever. That kind of stuff exists here too. I mean, if you're in that society, you'll feel the pressure to some degree, I imagine. But being a foreigner, and it's some ways it's great that you don't have too many of the locals influencing you and expecting you to do this.
Yeah, it's nice.
I think that's why I think one of the biggest mistakes you can make is you come out here, you want to go through that process of self-discovery, and you marry somebody. The moment you marry someone, then you're gonna have expectations to provide.
Don't do it, guys. Don't
as a
do it,
man.
guys.
Yeah. I'm not saying that that's bad. I mean, that might be good for later in life, but go through your process of
Take
self-discovery
your
so you're not
time.
because you can become this. There's a lot of these bitter expats out here too in their 50s and 60s that are like,
Have you run
I
across
hate
a lot of those
Thailand.
guys?
They're just like, why don't you leave? Obviously, they still like it here more than back home,
Ethan,
right?
do you run across those guys a lot?
Huh?
Do you run across those guys a lot?
Hell yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a whole new sequester, but not everybody out here is happy,
That's so weird to me.
Yeah, but they're definitely happier than being back home. Because whenever I hate hearing people complain and nitpick about little things, and they think the people that troll you and create the most disharmony, like you said, it's not Thais, it's other expats.
Mm.
That's why I try to avoid them. They bring that negativity mentality back, and they believe it's like they want to sit there and argue about everything, like politics here. Why are you arguing about Thai politics? It's not even you don't even have a citizenship here. I mean, and they seem to want to argue about it more than the locals, and they think, it's because the locals are not educated and blah 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 blah. I'm like, America and Britain, they're arguing about it quite a lot. I mean, it's a great country, ain't it? Isn't that why shouldn't you go back there and live there? And they know that the whole reason they like living out here is because people aren't so worried and so high strung on everything and wanting to argue about everything. Right. But at the same time, they're so still brainwashed that they think they have to do it and force everybody else into it. Otherwise, the sky is going to come crashing down. And I don't want to hear this, And at the end of the day, I'm like, you know what? I don't care if it's under military rule, because at the end of the day, I have far more freedoms than I have in America, So what's your opposition to military rule? That you don't have as many freedoms? Can you drink a beer in the middle of the road in America?
You can.
No. That's why you're living out here, because, the supposed military rule that you're complaining is so restrictive gives you far more freedoms than back home. So what are you complaining about? There's always pros and cons to everything. I'm not saying military rule is great. There's definite cons to it. But at the end of the day, it's great. And honestly, I'm not in a position to make any changes here. We're pretty much a guest. And we're guests here because we actually enjoyed and are enjoying how the Thai people created such a awesome country for us to enjoy. This is the balance that we wanted, That's why we're out here at the end of the day. And you should definitely not be talking smack about the Thai people, because they're the
No,
ones
not at all.
that made it possible. It's not the expats out here that made this country. You know what I'm saying? Like, we do have influence on it, etc. But like, I don't. It's like, I think there's a balance, and I think some people out here are always complaining so much, and it gets really really annoying, and you just want to enjoy what you can, because and look at the positive, because like for every one negative there's 9 positive. But when you just
Right.
dwell on the negatives, then it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
does actually become negative.
But you know,
So-
those guys left their country for a reason. So
They do,
I'm sure
and then
that
I
they
tell
were
them, well,
complainers back
you
in
know,
their country.
every single one of them. So why are you living here if you don't like it? And the room always goes silent. You know.
yeah, that'll shut them up.
Yeah. And it's like, well, what do you think you can change here? Is like, is this gonna, is changing this gonna make it any better? You know, like, look at America, look at here. They're doing it the way that you think it should be done. Why aren't you living there? Obviously, there's some cons to those pros that you're talking about. I'm not saying that that's bad. I'm not saying democracy is bad or whatever. I think that's great, but there's still democracy out here to a degree. You know, people influence, you know, policy. I mean, just the other day, I could talk about how I can go into debt about this, but yeah, I feel that even though it's under military rule, technically, the people like influence policy a lot more, and lawmakers respond to them and create policies that are a lot better for your general mass than back in the States, where it seems like they just keep making it harder for your average wage earner, and it's making it easier for like the ultra wealthy just to get more wealthy, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, I think you have to think about why you're coming out here, and if what your friends are suspecting right now is the reason, then you're probably actually gonna have the worst experience, which is come out here and feel treated like a king. Because no, you're gonna be treated like everybody else. It's just they're gonna leave you alone, you know. And you think you're gonna just automatically succeed because it's easy. No, it's in some ways it's even more difficult to find a job and such, you know. But if you're coming out here because you want new experiences, you want to broaden your perspective, you know, and you have other aspirations. Like for me, I didn't know about this until I came out here and lived for a while. But now I have aspirations to, you know, make great films, make great vlogs, influence people. Like it's good to be out here for that, because, you know, I'm not gonna influence Americans by shooting me going to Starbucks every morning or whatever, doing the same things. They're gonna go, why am I watching this, right? So I want to show something different, so that it works out for me. So whatever it may be, maybe you're an international business, so you want to make connections out here, international business, or you have particular expertise in your line of work in film and you want to have expand that out here. That's great. I mean, just don't expect instant success, but the way I see it, the worst thing that can happen is you're just going to be right back doing the same thing you're going to be doing anyways if you didn't come out here.
Right.
And I think that's the biggest argument and pro. Like, even if you're not successful out here, you'll be back doing the same thing, but at least you'll have an interesting story to tell and some interesting memories to think back on, and the confidence knowing that you went out there and did something instead of regretting not doing it, you know, when you're dying on your deathbed.
That's what I got from this trip this time.
Yeah.
So I'm just hungry for more.
Yeah.
You know? So I want to come stay longer next time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean,
So that's where I'm at.
you know,
with it.
grind your money. But I mean, even just taking a trip out here is great, because I know that if I took a trip out here before, then I would be back in America not as wasteful with my money, because that's the only way I could bring happiness, like upgrading my car or upgrading my TV. I would know that, okay, there's actually far greater joys out there, just smelling the green, like palm trees and the ocean while going through a motorcycle. Like that kind of experience doesn't compare to me, you know, watching a great Netflix series, you know. So in a 5-inch larger screen than this one. Like I would have made better financial decisions too. So yeah, I think I would have been even more frugal than I already was, and I wouldn't really care what any of my friends said, that if I was being stingy because you know, I'm not going out and eating a $30 steak instead of the value $15 steak on Thursday or whatever. I would say you're crazy.
Like this is going to the Thailand fund.
Yeah, you know what $15 can get me out here? You know, like yeah. So I would have been much more knowledgeable, and I think
it's
it would
funny
have
when you
brought me
think in
balance.
those terms too.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyways, I really got to go. I'm like 15 minutes late from
man.
the Patreon stream, but I will maybe catch up with you later. Let me know like how your life goes, and we'll be watching your channel with interest. And
cool.
yeah, definitely, guys, I'll link his channel below. You can see what's happening with him.
Sup, me guys.
And if he does decide to move out here, or he just travel more, who knows? There's no right or wrong answer. And
it's gonna be a little bit of both. There's just some things I have to finish up here that you'll see on the channel.
Yeah, we're just
And
two
I'll be
humble
there.
guys just living life and learning through, and maybe you can learn from our experiences, either good or bad, and not make the mistake, or you know, share with our success stories.
If anything, it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch a car wreck.
Well, that's what I said on my channel, Ethan. It's constantly me trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And just speed bumps all along the way.
Yeah. I mean, but you know what? Honestly, it's no different than my life back there, because I felt like it was a car wreck anyways. I was just, you know, like in a very nice car, and I was probably gonna crash at very high speed when I'm 50, 60 from stress-related diseases, you know. So that's how I see it. But yeah, wherever you guys are, whether you have great work-life balance in America, having a fantastic life, definitely more power to you. I'm jealous of you guys, because you guys definitely have found the balance, and maybe there's a place in America that you could do that I wasn't able to find out before I came out here. And I'm just content and thankful for what I have out here, I guess. Absolutely. Or whether you are living a really horrible, you know, 9-to-5 life and just mundane life, and you want to get out of it, and maybe this is an alternate that you see that appeals to you, and whatever your goals and life, you know, determinations might be, check back next week and check Jeff's channel. And we'll see you guys next week for more vlogs about living and traveling in Asia.
Go for it. Buy a plane ticket.
Hello, hello, hello. Hello. You good?
All right, buddy.
Did you record this this video that we're looking at right now?
Yeah. Well.
Because my camera died halfway through.
Oh, no, I didn't.
Oh, no.
But you got the audio at least?
Yeah, I got the audio.
Okay, well, send me what you can, and then, oh, shit, I didn't. But I will, I mean, it's okay, I'll just, there's enough, and I'll just say his video went on. Thanks again, guys, for checking out this video. If this is your first time, be sure to check out our channel for more vlogs released Saturdays and our longer discussion and walking videos released Wednesdays. I've color-coded our main vlogs with the black sidebars as opposed to our longer form discussion or walking videos with pink or no sidebars for your convenience. Be sure to also check out our Facebook and Instagram pages to keep up to date and communicate with us. And remember, we also have our second channel, Traveling Asia, that's dedicated to our international travels as well.